Quite frankly, we might be in the most important week of Eagles football we've had in several years. We're going to talk about what's next for our Philadelphia Eagles. Phillies, the rebuild starts today. We'll talk about that. Sixers, Joel Embiid playing 5-on-5, and the Flyers home opener is tonight. Oh, and Penn State news, too. Trending in the AM. It's an overreaction Monday. We're live in 30 seconds. And a very good morning, everybody, and welcome to Trending in the AM. Right here on the STT Sports Network, we are live. YouTube and Twitter, you know the drill. Wherever you're watching, hit that like button, that share button, that subscribe button. It's free to do. It's free to support a local content creator. So please hit those buttons. We're starting today and this week at 756 subscribers. Can we get to 800 this week? We only do that by you guys tuning in every day, commenting on the shows, and then hitting those like and subscribe and share buttons, guys. I'm Phil Stiefel, your host every morning here, guys. And we got a jam-packed show and a jam-packed week of sports to talk about, as there's so much to cover. We got the Eagles. I really think this may be the most important week of the last 2-3 years for the Philadelphia Eagles. Because if they drop a third in a row on Sunday against the Minnesota Vikings, oh my God, I don't want to know what'll happen. The Sixers are inching closer to playing basketball this year, and Joel Embiid's on the court, well, in the blue on white scrimmage. The Flyers, 0-2 to start, 0-1-1 to start the season. Home opener tonight. The Phillies, will this be the week that we fire Rob Thomson and start the rebuild to get back at it next year? And of course, Penn State fired their head coach finally. And I love it. So much on the table to cover. And I don't even want to waste time. I want to get first. Right. Well, before we do that, like I said, like and subscribe, guys. Vote on our poll question of the day, only on YouTube. Who should be calling the plays for the Eagles offense? Option A, Kevin Patullo. No vote so far. Quarterback coach, Scott Loeffler. He's got most of the votes so far. Mike McDaniels, because we're going to talk a lot about Mike McDaniels and the weird love and fascination Eagles fans have with him. Option D, other, which even has votes so far. So let's get to the comments right off the bat here. Duck, what's up? They have until Sunday to get their crap together and be a competitive team. Yeah. I've always said that I don't think Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni would ever let the Eagles lose 3 games in a row. That they're too good of a team. They're too good of leaders to do that. But right now, I'm scared of having to eat my words right now. They got to get their shit together big time. Good morning, Little G. We better kick those Vikings' butt. What's up, Entrepreneur 215? Scott is already in the building and assisting with the game plan, just like Patullo was in the building when Brian Johnson was the OC. Okay? So you want Scott Loeffler to have a bigger role, or you don't think he would help? I'm not sure where you're going with that one right there, Entrepreneur. I am not a Mike McDaniel guy, and I'm going to say that all week long. Because whether he gets fired today by the Dolphins or not, I think he saved his job by having a close one. But then Tua saw that and went and dropped some nuggets. There's been a lot of crazy shit going on in the NFL this weekend as well. And a lot of bad football being played. But a lot of good football that scares me. Why aren't the Eagles playing better? But I don't want Mike McDaniel. And he, to me, is not the answer for this team. Scott Loeffler is in the building. It would ease the mid-season transition of play calling. If you want to take Kevin Patullo off of play calling, even temporarily, at least he's there. The players know him instead of switching things up and changing things up. That, to me, would be the easy, quick answer to solve all the problems right now. Well, not solve the problems, maybe ease the problems a little bit. What's up, Bobby? How you doing today? I hope you are well. What do you think? What did you vote on the poll question of the day? Guys, there is obviously something wrong. It's a combination of bad play calling going on. But it's also a combination of bad execution is part of that. You know, you got Lane Johnson out there talking about how it's too predictable and the play calling's not good. And when Lane Johnson speaks, you listen, right? I mean, I always listen when Lane Johnson talks. I mean, he's a future first ballot Hall of Famer, arguably one of the best right tackles in the history of the NFL. When he talks, you listen. But on the flip side of the equation, Saquon Barkley's out there saying very different things, talking about how, it was predictable last year and we didn't have problems. Everybody knew we were going to run the ball last year and we didn't have problems. So I don't know where to put the full blame on this situation. We need to get Patullo some help. He's looking like Henry Winkler reading Football for Dummies on the sideline. It's great. That's great. I like that, Duck. But is the help there? Is Scott Loeffler the help already there waiting to help, right? Scott Loeffler might be that answer. He was brought in here to be the outside voice to the promote from within guy. He has called plays in college and pretty well. He has helped groom Tom Brady and Tim Tebow into the quarterbacks they became. So he knows what he's doing. Whether he's being utilized enough or not is the question. Bobby says, I wish we would have gotten Frank Reich as an experienced OC. Well, that was always my question going into the offseason last year, Bobby, was do you promote from within or do you bring an outside voice in, instead of promote from within? Unfortunately, Frank Reich now is the interim head coach at Stanford University. So it'll be very hard to pry him from a head coaching job to be your OC or a consultant at this point. And I don't know if the Frank Reich train has left the building or not. I don't know. But I'm okay with the other choice. It's just got to be somebody other than Frank Reich at this point because he's kind of locked up for the next 8 to 10 weeks or 12 weeks, whatever it may be in Stanford. But it doesn't mean also that Kevin Patullo is the wrong player or wrong person to continue to be the offensive coordinator of this team. He just needs help play calling at this point, right? The plays are there. If you look at the plays, there are concepts that should work. There are concepts that are run once or twice that are effective. The problem is he seems to, when he sees a play work, he puts it off and forgets about it. He makes things more complicated than they need to be. And as much as he is to blame, there's also an execution aspect of it that needs to be fixed. Every time we promote from within, it blows up in our faces. I mean, this is not the first time. This is not even the second time that this has happened. Sometimes those outside voices are good, but also when you have a head coach, and some of this is to blame on Nick Sirianni, and I'm not shitting on Nick Sirianni here. I love Nick Sirianni. All right, probably the best coach in Eagles history already. But when you have a CEO type head coach that's not calling plays on offense or defense, and the shit hits the fan like it has, then you're kind of in a stuck position. That's why you needed the Frank Reich level, the experienced guy to be the offensive coordinator. Like you have Vic Fangio as the DC, right? Nick Sirianni sets the tone. Vic Fangio runs the D, right? You needed the similar thing on offense, and you didn't get that with Kevin Patullo. And I know a lot of people say bring in Doug P. As a consultant, you want to do that? I can get behind it. I guess I'm okay with that. My problem would be if the losing continued, then you'd have Eagles fans saying, no, you wouldn't have Eagles fans. You'd have WIP saying, should Doug Peterson be the new head coach of the team? Poll question, whatever it may be. They'd be stirring the pot left and right in that scenario. But as a consultant, I'm not totally against that. I don't think Doug Peterson ever called. Was he the main play caller here in Philly when he was here? I don't even remember what years he called plays and what years he didn't. He absolutely bombed in Jacksonville as a head coach. In fact, Trevor Lawrence regressed as a head quarterback in Jacksonville under Dougie P. Dougie P's a legend, first Super Bowl champion in the city. We'll never forget Dougie P. But I don't know if he's the answer either. But again, I would take, Frank Reich or Dougie P over Mike McDaniel. You go out there. There's so many people, and right now it's all option B, C, and D all have equal amount of votes so far. No one's voted for Kevin Patullo to continue calling plays so far. You listen to Mike McDaniel, you watch the Dolphins, how bad they are, but then you see how disorganized that Dolphins team is. And I know he's the head coach, not the OC. You got players showing up late. You got people not going to team meetings. The stories that are coming out in Miami about the Dolphins, I would want nothing. No, I don't care if he's the greatest offensive coordinator of all time. I want nothing about his loser energy in my city. This time of year, we don't have many options. Absolutely, Bobby. And that's why I'm leaning on the Scott Loeffler as the best option at this point. Kevin Patullo can still design the game plan for the week, right? Kevin Patullo can still say, this is what we need to do this week. And Scott Loeffler can execute the game plan. Scott Loeffler can call the plays. Maybe Scott Loeffler needs to be next to Kevin Patullo 100% of the time, helping him. Hey, why aren't you running this here right now? Maybe he needs more of a mentorship there. I have not heard anything about the team getting together to figure out what is happening. Well, they had the Saquon, AJ, Jalen meeting the week before, and that didn't help out any. I knew what you meant. Internally, there doesn't seem to be any movement forward. There doesn't seem to be movement forward. They just think that the next week will be better. And I expected some rumors or some thoughts or some comments from, the front office or the coaches or even subtle tweets from players this weekend. And we didn't get any of it. Let me tell you something. If they go out and lose this week to the Vikings, it's going to be scary in Philadelphia next week. So they better have a game plan, not just to beat the Vikings, but a game plan to fix their internal issues that they are going through right now. What's up, Bucks guy? Hell, Baker Mayfield, man, MVP. Right now, the Bucks and Baker Mayfield, that's your MVP of the NFL right now. Can Bucks make moves with Eagles? Can we make moves with the Eagles? I don't know, maybe. Patullo sucks at in-game adjustments. He does. And for some reason, when the things go well, he stops doing what goes well. What kind of moves do you want to make with the Eagles? Give me those ideas. I don't know why he just stops doing what's working throughout games. It seemed the whole team is just stuck and doesn't know how to get into sync. Yeah, and some of it's exhaustion, some of it's injuries, some of it's execution, some of it's game planning, maybe some of it's practice techniques. There's literally, everybody wants to put the full blame on Kevin Patullo. And I get it, and I see it, and I understand it. I'm just here to be the yin to the yang and say it's not all Kevin Patullo's fault, and that maybe making a major adjustment, like going out and getting Mike McDaniels and trying to instill a new offense, a game plan, middle of the season, is a bad idea. Maybe you need to go out there and just adjust versus stripping it down. Bucks used a wide receiver. Yeah, the wide receivers are pretty beat up there. Well, Johnny Wilson's on IR for the rest of the year, so you can't get him. And Devontae Smith, we're not trading Devontae Smith ever. If you wanted a wide receiver from the Eagles, possibly Jihaad Dotson could be had. He's on the end of his rookie deal. I guess that would be an option for you. I guess the Eagles would consider it, but I doubt it at this point. Unless shit started to really get bad in Philly and we weren't going to make the playoffs. But the trade deadline is November 4th. So we still got a couple weeks to get to that point. AJ says there wasn't a meeting as much as teammates hanging out and talking. Yeah, I know what AJ said. It is what it is. AJ leads his way. Saquon leads his way. Jalen leads his way. There should be no issues with the fact that your three biggest leaders lead in different ways. I mean, you think about it. The 93 Phillies had three leaders, all led different ways. Dykstra, Kruk, and Dalton. Dalton was the Hurts. Kruk was the Saquon, and Dykstra was the AJ, maybe. Maybe that's the way I would compare it. It looks like he's running Nick's playbook. I know everybody keeps saying that, and I see that, and I get that. But why would you expect anything different, Bobby? Think of it this way. He is a disciple of Nick Sirianni. They've been together in the past. They've been here since day one in Philly together. He's learned. He got this job because of his relationship with Nick Sirianni. And Nick Sirianni is the one that groomed him for this job. KC beat the Lions. I thought it was crazy. Look, yeah, I mean, that the whole punching thing at the end of the game is going to take away from that game. There's a lot of interesting options that happened this weekend in the NFL, we'll just say. You know, you had teams struggling, like the Chargers or the Broncos, to beat bad teams like the Jets and the Dolphins. You got the Panthers beating the Cowboys. But the one thing, the one constant, I don't think I watched or saw any offense move the football as inconsistently as the Eagles yesterday. I mean, the Jets maybe. I mean, the Jets had minus 10 yards passing for the whole game. Not half a game, the whole game. But yeah, there was some really bad football played. But in perspective, I don't know how many of those bad teams that played this weekend the Eagles would beat with the way they've been playing right now. Did you hear Jason Kelsey's weird takes on the NFL conspiracy theory? The NFL Illuminate is, yeah, look, I heard somebody else, maybe it was you that said it in a comment on YouTube, Duck. Look, I don't believe it's scripted, the NFL. But the NFL does have a way of dictating what's happening. They do send agendas. I believe that. But I don't know why they'd want to strip the Eagles down and stop the Eagles from playing more big games. If you look at the ratings, okay? If you look at the ratings of NFL football games, the highest rated game every single week, it's the Philadelphia Eagles. When they're on primetime, they're setting records or darn near close to setting records. So why the NFL would want to knock down the Eagles and make them less good or less entertaining of a team, it makes no sense to me. So Kelsey's comments, I get it, and I see what he's saying, but I also don't believe it. If Bucks beat Lions are real contenders. When do you guys play the Lions, or do you play the Lions? I don't know. I don't track the Bucks and Lions schedule unless it involves the Eagles directly, but it doesn't work. That's why Nick gave up play calling before. No, I get that. I get that. But you can't, hey, I taught you everything I know. Here's the job, but don't use any information on what I taught you. That's the problem there. And that's why promoting from within. And I remember going over on this show, Bobby, because again, we've been doing this show for a long time. In the offseason, when we covered this exact thing, who's going to be the new OC? I remember talking about it on this show. Why we didn't hear of interviews coming in for the OC job. We never got a list. These are the guys we're bringing in. These are the guys we're talking to. These are the guys that, have a chance at being the next OC. No, we heard nothing. Then boom, Kevin Patullo's promoted. I'm sure they met their Rooney rules and stuff like that. But we didn't hear anything. It was like as soon as Kellen Moore was gone, boom, we've made up our mind. It's Kevin Patullo. And I said it then in the offseason, that was a bad idea. Just like I said when they just automatically gave the job to Rob Thomson. It doesn't hurt to hear other people's thoughts in interviews. It doesn't hurt to get an extra opinion on a situation. Hey, let me interview one more person. It doesn't hurt to do that. And it doesn't seem like the Eagles did that. It seems like they had their mind made up before Kellen Moore got the job, that he was going to be the replacement. No, the Bucks are real contenders with how weird the season's going. The Bucks are absolutely contenders. And once they get Godwin and Evans back, oh my God, and of course Bucky Irvin coming to, so next Monday, that's a big Monday Night Football game. Big Monday Night Football game next week then. Eagles better than Bucks. Right now, no. Maybe in the grand scheme of things, yes. But right now, it's hard to say that. According to predictions, Bucks have no chance against Lions. Crazy. Coming off a Lions loss last night, Brian Branch will probably get suspended for that, for the game anyway. It depends on your health and your injuries, but Baker, I've always said Baker's a very good quarterback. Baker has that it factor you look for. Baker Mayfield's a very, very similar type quarterback to Jalen Hurts in the sense that he's going to never feel like his team is out of a game. So, major props to the season he's having so far. Like I said, through 6 weeks. If the season ended today and I had a vote, which I don't have a vote, and it doesn't end today, you got to play 17 games, he would get my MVP vote, Baker Mayfield, at this point. Right now, the Eagles don't know how to get this team on the same page, and it sucks for how talented this team is. Absolutely. And I don't know. And getting the team on the same page, maybe that's on one Mr. Nick Sirianni. Maybe Nick Sirianni is failing this team right now. Maybe Nick Sirianni is part of the problem because he's not getting this team on the same page. He might not be holding Kevin Patullo, accountable for his mistakes. Is he blasting the ball, the play caller? We saw him cuss out, what's his name? Tank Bigsby for fumbling that kickoff in the last game. Is he getting in Kevin Patullo's face when necessary? We don't know. Doesn't look like it. Only if we get synced up. Exactly. I think our O-line being banged up has killed our rushing attack, made us one-dimensional. Well, our O-line is banged up too. The fundamentals of a great football team is having a great offensive and defensive line. The Eagles both are banged up. Baker give just about any team he's on a puncher's chance of winning a game. Yeah, the thing with Baker is, and probably similar to Jalen, that he'll give you a puncher's chance, but you better have a good defense too. You better have people ready to make plays. I'm trying not to get off the Sirianni bandwagon yet, but he needs to do his job. Look, you know me. I've never been off the Nick Sirianni bandwagon, right? I've been the number one. I've been the one trying to convince you how great Nick Sirianni is, right? For years now. And this is the first time I'm bringing criticism to him. You've got A.J. Brown drama every other week. You got players not executing. You got coaches not executing. That's what he's supposed to do. Everyone's like, oh, well, bring Mike McDaniels in. And any of his personal issues that make him a bad head coach doesn't matter because that's Nick Sirianni's job. No. Nick Sirianni doesn't need another distraction to deal with. Look, Baker Mayfield's a strong quarterback. And I've always liked his game. Once he had that first stop in his career, kind of hit him in the face. Maybe he got smacked down a notch, He was hyped up here. He got knocked down a notch. His recovery. I look at guys like him that had peaks and valleys in their careers and back to the peaks. Sam Darnold, what he's doing. Geno Smith, what he's been doing over the last couple of years. I love stories like that. Now, Baker's the most successful of those guys, but you look at someone like Sam Darnold, who led the Vikings to 14 wins and was cast aside. What's he this year? 4-2? Doing the same thing in Seattle. Raiders not doing as well with Geno Smith, but they got to win. He's out there fighting every single week. You got to love a story of an athlete that when everything goes wrong, they get knocked down. They face that reality check. And instead of just going away, they pick themselves up, dust themselves off, and get right back on the horse. And I love it. I love the Baker story with the other guys too. How many other first-round quarterbacks couldn't get back up after getting knocked down by the NFL? So many. Dude, there's some first-round quarterbacks over the last couple of years. Off the top of my head, I don't know what team Zach Wilson's on. I don't even know what team Trey Lance is on now. He was on the Cowboys now. I don't even know. So many quarterbacks. They get knocked down. and then they just ride off in the sunset and collect that first-round check, and that's it. Don't like media attention, and Tampa just saw number one now Super Bowl. Don't like media attention. Tampa doesn't like the media attention. All the media attention's on the Eagles. I'll believe it when it happens this year. But the Bucs win in a Super Bowl. I don't know if I'm ready to put the Bucs how far just yet. But we'll see. Is Trey Lance on the Jets? Could have fooled me. Is that Justin Fields or Trey Lance? Both terrible quarterbacks. Who knows? Like, I'm having fun with you guys, Bucks and Duck. Where's the rest of the crew? Where's everybody that watches? We haven't even gotten past 10 viewers yet today. Concurrent viewers. What's going on with the algo? Rough one this morning. We're 25 minutes in. What's going on out there? There's so much to talk about with this Eagles team. We got to talk Phillies. We got to talk Flyers. We got to talk Sixers. We got to talk Penn State. There's a lot going on. MILF Hunter. What? Oh, is that Zach Wilson? That's right. He was the MILF Hunter. I don't know. Sure. But those guys didn't dust themselves off and pull up their bootstraps. They just kind of coast off into oblivion. But Baker and company, they've had those. I'm incorrect. Trey Lance is on the Chargers. You could have fooled me either way. I'm not surprised that James Franklin got fired from Penn State. Penn State's, they lost barely at the last second to Oregon in overtime when they were the number 3 team in the country. And I think I saw the first team ever to lose back-to-back weeks as 20-point favorites, or at least the first time in a long time that's happened. They had multiple top-tier high school commits decommit in the past week. James Franklin, I had no idea he was even there for 12 years. They paid him the second most of money in the history of college sports to go away, $49+ million. Jimbo Fisher got like 70-some million to leave Texas A&M. They literally gave him $50 million to say, yo, get away. We don't want you here. See, I'm not a big college football guy, Bucks guy. I'm not. And in my area, everybody loves Penn State. And I don't know why. And I did too for a while. But about half a decade ago, I'm like, I have no reason to be a Penn State Nittany Lion fan. Why am I a Nittany Lion fan? So I'm like, you know what? Screw it. I'm not a Nittany Lion fan. And it's so much funnier not being a Penn State fan now. It is. Franklin got fired. It's hard for a program that was just at the national champion. Yet, look, I mean, did they get to? They didn't get to the champ. They were in the semifinals. They lost last year, right? It was kind of shocking in that sense, where he was literally at the top of the world last year, number 3 team this year, just 3 weeks ago, and now he's out of a job. But really, when you think about it, and I don't know every stat and every number off the top of my head because I'm not a Penn State guy, but from what I remember reading tweets over the last year, 2, 3, that they never beat Ohio State. They barely ever beat Michigan. Their record against top 10 teams, against teams ranked top 10 when they play them, is atrocious. Penn State beats up on the little guy and fails against the big guy and has for decades. So while I'm surprised, I also understand why. And Adidas wanted it. From what I read yesterday or this morning, that Adidas actually is paying the $49 million for him to go away. Yeah, he hadn't been successful against top college teams. He's been atrocious, James Franklin, against the big teams. When you're willing to pay somebody almost $50 million to go away and not do his job, that's a problem. It's a big, big problem. It's weird, to be honest with you. I wish someone would pay me $50 million not to work, not to do my job. That'd be a dream come true. I wish. Crazy. Crazy how that played out. Anyway, that's my Penn State talk. All right, I gave you guys 5 minutes of college football talk. At some point, I will give you 5 minutes of Flyers talk, since today's the home opener for the Flyers. 4-3 incoming. Martian, could you imagine what this city will be like? Not only if they lose a third game in a row, but if that third game in a row is against Carson Wentz. Oh my God. The fact that they're betting favorites right now, by the way, also, which is insane. Could you imagine the uproar in this city? I guarantee you, Marshawn, the first WIP poll of Monday morning next week, if they lose, should Nick Sirianni be fired? Guarantee it. So who do you think they will go after head coach at Penn State? Honestly, I'm not sure of that. Again, I'm not a huge college football fan. I hope they take Kevin Patullo off our hands. I'm just kidding about that. I don't know. I see some Penn Staters wanting them to go after Nick Saban. That's not the answer. Obviously, Bill Belichick's not the answer in college football either. I don't know what they do there. I don't. They probably will not wait till the offseason because they're already losing commits for next year. So they're probably going to move on for their interim to somebody else very quickly here. But if they want to stay relevant in the recruiting game, it better be a big name with some former success. Carson Wentz will have his revenge. I'm thinking of wearing my Carson Wentz jersey on the live watch party on Sunday. Should I? STT 24/7 if you got that 45 mil. You want me to go 24/7 live for 45 mil? Philly sports is so bad that people are getting excited for the Sixers. Dude, you had to see the video of Joel Embiid doing a pump fake dunk and then dropping a three in the blue and white scrimmage. How can you not get hyped, right? Did Nick hire Steichen? I mean, normally when a head coach is hired, he either picks his OC in DC or at least has heavy influence on who they are. So, yeah, probably. What does Wentz have to get revenge for? They put him in a great position to win and keep his starting salary. He asked for the trade. I think that's a great point, Duck. I mean, he doesn't have – I guess he's bitter on the way things ended here. He's always been bitter that Foles got to lift the trophy and not him. But really, what did he do? He got paid a buttload amount of money to be our quarterback. And he's got a Super Bowl ring from being our quarterback. So, yeah, I don't know. Steichen was a Howie hire. Nick, I think, was just okay. But Steichen and Nick had worked together. So I'm assuming, at the very least, when Nick was hired, Howie said, what would be your list of OCs? And I'm sure Steichen was at the top of his list. Maybe Howie said, sure, it's Steichen. But anyway, what's the point about bringing up the Steichen thing from Marshawn? I would like to know. But yeah. So why couldn't Nick hire a better OC? Who could Howie have hired instead of Patullo? See, that's the thing, Marshawn. We don't know. Because, and I brought this up before you joined the chat, and I've brought this up in the past, and I brought it up in the offseason. Why wasn't there any reports? And with the amount of beat reporters the Eagles have, there would be reports. Why was there no reports of who was being brought in to interview for the OC job? And again, I'm sure they covered their Rooney Rule tale and all that stuff. But it's like, as soon as Kellen Moore left, we just all assumed it was going to be Kevin Patullo. And that wasn't right. We didn't get any ideas. I said here, I want an experienced guy. I want a guy that's not going to be a future head coach in the next 2 to 3 years. You could have brought in Frank Reich. You could have brought in other people, at least to interview and talk to. We talked about Kevin Patullo and then making Frank Reich the quarterback coach. Now, again, I'm a Scott Loeffler guy. I think he might have a chance at turning this offensive game plan around. But, man, there was no reported interviews for the OC position this offseason. And, again, I'm sure they brought somebody in. But when the reporters aren't announcing it, that means that it was just being done for the sake of doing it. This offense is so bad because the O-line is hard. Stout not getting flamed at all. Stoutland's not getting flamed at all. Vic Fangio's barely getting flamed. There's a lot of blame to go around. And while Kevin Patullo has not been good at his job, we could count at least 2 or 3 plays every single game that have been designed and schemed up that would be home run hitters. Every single game. Guys, we're still stuck on 4 whole likes. There's more than 4 people that have watched this show. If you haven't, hit that like button, subscribe, share, guys. I'd appreciate way more than 4 people have been watching this show. Not a lot today, but way more than 4. So, guys, hit those buttons. Danny Dimes is saving Steichen, and Andy, he was missing piece. Who would have thought, right? Who would have thought that Danny Dimes would be, we talked about Baker as an MVP candidate. Well, Danny Dimes is an MVP candidate right now as well. And that is literally the most, I can understand Baker Mayfield playing at an MVP level. I've seen glimmers of that in the past. But Danny Dimes? What the hell? Lane Johnson, Jordan Mailata are horrid this year. Jordan Mailata is having his worst year of his career so far. Lane Johnson is banged up too, though. Part of Lane Johnson's problems is he's injured. I mean, he's missed twice. He's missed half the games. But when you're already missing Landon Dickerson, what are you going to do? And that's why, I don't know if I'm making big trades here at the deadline unless I know what the offense can do. But you definitely need to be looking at finding a guard to bring in here. And maybe a tackle. I mean, Fred Johnson, I guess, could start if you want to give Lane Johnson a week off. But outside of that, I don't know. I don't know what you do, Marshawn, in that situation. Cam Jurgens has not been his best self this year. Tyler Steen, arguably, has been your most consistent offensive lineman this year. O-line is where Howie hits on free agency. Got to retool this summer. D-line has 6 sacks. Broncos have 30 already. The defensive line is just a big of a problem. Howie might not make the big splash move that people want on the D-line because Nolan Smith will be coming back. And he'll be like, that's like a trade deadline acquisition. If Jalen Carter's not going to play for a few more weeks, you might need to bring in another tackle. But maybe he goes, I don't know. Is there a Ndamukong Suh, Linville Joseph type out there that's a free agent? Because he had home runs there. Howie's trade deadline trades have failed way more often than succeeded. Howie's been better off midseason bringing in free agents than he has been trading. His offseason trades are phenomenal. There's no doubt about that. It's the in-season trades. Look, this year he's failed at trading. The Tank Bigsby trade, you traded 2 draft picks for Tank Bigsby. How's that working out for you? It's the second worst point in his career. Mailata's first season as a starter wasn't great. That's fair. That's fair. But we didn't have those expectations for him then. We didn't know if he was going to become an all-pro type player. Now we expected to play all-pro, and he's not. That's why I kind of put him this year at worst. He deserved MVP more than you think Danny Dimes or Baker. Who deserves it more than you think Danny Dimes or Baker? Oh, who do I think deserves it more? Baker right now, for sure. Danny Dimes is not your MVP. Right now, it's Baker Mayfield. But Danny Dimes is having an MVP level season. Sam Darnold would be in that top 5-10. I mean, for sure. Cowboys fans be like, welcome to the show. You always complain when I'm 1 second late to hit the go live. You're 38 minutes late to the show, Mad Chatter. He kept saying the D-line needed help all summer. Bargain shot. Look, Howie has missed more times than not between the offseason and this. I mean, trading Thomas Booker for Jacorian Bennett, who's been on the field for 8 plays this year? I know he's on IR right now. Another miss. Howie could get criticized. Criticizing doesn't mean we want these guys fired. It's just holding them accountable. Howie, as great as he's been, is in one of his worst stretches of his career right now. Hope Bucks make splash at deadline, trade some picks, window open now. The whole NFL is open right now, Bucks. I cannot sit here today and tell you I am 100% sure that X4 teams are the Super Bowl contenders. I could probably give you a list of 10 or 12 teams that have a shot right now. Phenomenal. Mechie, Bigsby, CG trades were all bust. Well, Mechie was right at the end of the preseason, beginning of the season. Bigsby was in the season. The CJ trade, I get it. And CJ's still not on a roster. And I didn't want CJ back. But watching our secondary perform and watching Drew Makuba kind of hit a rookie wall, you could sign CJ back here really cheaply off the Ravens practice squad. And I would definitely consider doing it. 100% consider now bringing Chauncey Gardner-Johnson back. For sure. Say what you want about CJ, but he played with a swagger, but the team followed. Yeah, and look, Reed Blankenship's best years are when CJ's next to him as well. When CJ's here, we go to the Super Bowl. When he's not, we don't. There's a certain swagger that this defense is missing. I don't disagree. I don't disagree at all. And look, I like Drew Makuba. He's really good against the run. He's atrocious in the passing game. You're missing. We don't know. We don't have an update on Quinion Mitchell yet. You might be without Quinion going forward for a few weeks. What are you doing in that secondary? You bring Chauncey in maybe. Stoutland is untouchable. He turns guys off the street into Hall of Famers. When was the last time Howie drafted an O-lineman in the first round? He's taken Stout for granted. Maybe you got, I think Stoutland won it, mister, to draft a couple offensive linemen this past offseason in the second, third round. I think Howie failed in the sense where he misjudged how other teams valued certain linemen. There were a couple guards and tackles that I think he was targeting, and then they just weren't there. And he misread the room. So, yeah, maybe he is. I mean, he gave him, Cameron Williams and Holland Pierce, and who was the other guy's name in the draft this year? And they all are gone already. I don't want Howie fired. Howie nailed the draft, but Makuba has a lot of missed tackles. I mean, Drew Makuba is a nice young player. He's done well in the run game. I think I don't know what he is this week, but going into this week, he was the third-ranked safety in the NFL in run defense efficiency as safety. But he was also like 58th in pass efficiency as out of the safeties. Talent can only do so much. There are talented guys are in on the practice squad. They're just not ready to play in the NFL purely on their talent without training. Look, yeah, but we need to fix now. Phillies, the 20. Well, we're waiting to see what the Phillies do. Waiting for an announcement on what the Phillies are going to do. I think Makuba is good in the passing game, but hard in the run game. Well, the efficiency stat numbers are the opposite of that. Again, I'm not an analytics guy either, Marshawn, so I go by eye test too. Dowdle over 200 yards again, tearing up the run game. They had a hell of a game. They weren't. What did he say about the Cowboys? They weren't ready to strap up, or whatever he said. I would rather talk Sixers. Look, once I think I'm out, they pull me back in. That's what the Sixers do, dropping videos of Joel Duncan in a scrimmage. All of our coaches are only human, and that means they will have down times. It can't be perfect. Well, everybody's human, right? I get that. It's cool. Doesn't mean we can't criticize them. Is our defense worse than the Ravens? That's a tough question to answer, Marshawn, because we have like the 30th out of 32 dollars and cents spent on our defense. The Ravens have the most expensive defense, I believe, in football. So based off of expectations, the Ravens defense is worse. Okay. Now, we don't watch the Ravens 60 minutes every single week. We're not Ravens fans. At least I don't think you are. Right. So maybe Ravens fans would feel differently. But right now, I feel we're playing substandard. We're not playing Vic Fangio style. We're not playing Eagles style football and defense. Look, we're talking about who's not getting flack. What about Zach Bond? Jackson Dart's touchdown run on Thursday night. That was on Zach Bond. Zach Bond froze like a deer in headlights. Flat out froze. And then hesitated. And then got beat. Is anybody calling out Zach Bond for that play? Zach Bond hasn't played Defensive Player of the Year level football this year. There have been a lot of moments in games this year where Zach Bond has not been last year's Zach Bond. I'm not asking for them to move on from Zach Bond. I'm not saying it was a mistake to retain him. None of that. But everybody is failing on this Eagles team right now. Ravens defense worse. Probably because of expectations. I agree with that. Chiefs are back. Maybe. No, our defense is not worse than the Ravens. Ravens offense can't even save them. I don't know. Maybe. NFC favorite: Bucks, Eagles, Lions, Rams, Packers. That's my top 5. It's hard for me to put the Eagles that high. I would put the Lions ahead of them. Man, the Packers, I know the score doesn't say it, but the Packers struggled yesterday. There was a moment in time yesterday where I thought the Packers were going to lose. The defense performance or lack thereof is a result of non-existent pass rush. Absolutely agree. 100%. And how many people crushed me for a month before the season because I said trade Nolan Smith or Jalen Hunt and a draft pick for Trey Hendrickson. Figure the money out and get Trey Hendrickson in here. I don't even know what kind of season Trey Hendrickson's having or not. But I said you needed that big boom on the edge. Figure it out. And I got demolished on this app and Twitter for saying that. But now you don't have a pass rush, and now you're scrambling. There's a sports YouTube show I was listening to, and unsolicited, the host said Eagles are over and will not make the playoffs. Well, if they don't win this week, then we can have that conversation. You lose 3 in a row, you can definitely have that conversation. I pushed back and said they will be on Super Bowl. He said it's different. It's over. It is different. It does feel different watching this team play. It feels like they're in a fog. They're stuck in the mud. They're the what's the horse from Neverending Story sinking in the what was his horse's name in the Neverending Story? They're sinking in quicksand right now. Watching Sunday without Eagles, this is a wide open league. I'm not worried. Worried is, I don't know if I would say I'm worried or concerned. I'm definitely curious to see what they do to turn it around. Mark, by the way, what's up, my man? Hope you're doing well. I'm definitely curious on what happens. You can't just flip a switch in football like other sports. What are they going to do to change the tides this year? How are they going to do it? Phil, Buffalo Bills Columbus Day victory will be lit. Is today Columbus Day? Huh. I totally forgot about that. I do know the Bills play on Monday Night Football tonight, right? The Bills play the Falcons in Atlanta. Oh, yeah, they got that. Bears Commanders also. I hate 2 Monday Night Football games. Stupid. I'll be rooting for the Bears tonight for sure. Bills Bears. I think it's when Bulls lose, it's just long season. What? Look, it is a long season. There's time for the Eagles to turn this around. They're 4-2. They could be in a much worse spot at 4-2. There are teams that would die to be in the Eagles' situation at 4-2. Without a doubt. But it's hard to find out or figure out what's the answer. How do they answer this problem? Guys, still not enough. There's only 7 likes on this video, only 14 votes on the poll, guys. Answer the poll question, like, subscribe, share, do all the things you got to do. It's been a little dead in the algorithm today. Get to go back and break down what I did wrong on today's algo. When Bills lose, what? They want us to forget the Italians. I can't remember the quote from the Sopranos. Man, there's a huge breakfast scene about Columbus Day and Christopher Columbus on the Sopranos. Why can't I remember it now? Damn it. Look. We've actually got a bunch of votes that have come in that have put Kevin Patullo tied at the lead of the poll question today, that he should remain the play caller for the Eagles offense. And I'm kind of surprised about that. Right now we're 29% Patullo, 29% Leffler, 21% McDaniels, and 21% other. What you did wrong, it's a holiday. I'm still working on the holiday today. If you get off on this holiday, must be a special person. I mean, I don't get off today. I still got to go in and work on Columbus Day. And I'm Italian. I should have a reason to take off today. I should celebrate my national holiday. 6 games into his OC career, relax, let him continue to learn. I agree. I mean, here's how I'll say it. Let him continue being the OC. I don't know if it happens often that there's an OC that doesn't call plays and his subordinate, the quarterback coach, does. He definitely needs to lean more into Scott Loeffler's experience to figure things out. He's definitely got to be open to taking more advice, for sure. But I don't know. There have been at least 2 plays every game that could have changed the tides of the game. Okay? 2 times, at least every game. And then all of a sudden the offense might be much better. I think his concepts are there. Whether it's the player's execution, his implementing of them, combination of both, I think there are concepts there. He just needs help getting it over the top. Over the top, baby. I'm working. Yeah. Even the greatest Italian-American in America, Mark Moschitelli, is working. I bet Big Ed isn't, but, that's it. But if Mark Moschitelli's working and Stiefel is working, then it's not a real holiday. You call this work. This isn't work. This is fun. Despite the fact that the algo is kicking my ass today. This ain't work. This is a privilege of mine to be here. Only thing I'm worried about on this holiday is if I want another cannoli or how much spice in the gravy. We always got to put some red chili flakes in your gravy, just so you know. My biggest concern with Eagles is what's up with Barkley. I mean, he's banged up, he's hurt. My people have suffered enough. Yeah, I know. I'm not sure if he did or not, but we're told he did. But with Barkley, the offensive line is hurt and not blocking. He's worn out, and he's got knee issues as well this year. We all knew Barkley was going to struggle this year. We all expected them to take a step back this year. Problem is we didn't expect the team to take a step back. And I do go back again for like the 4th time to the comments from Jordan Mailata from before last game, right? Where he talked about everything is made about the running back after a big season like Saquon had, taking a step back because he's worn out, right? But then Jordan Mailata reminded everybody that the offensive line is worn out from it as well. And the offensive line is hurt and banged up from it as well. You got guys coming off season-ending surgeries or off-season surgeries. You got guys playing, having surgeries in the middle of training camp. You got guys that are exhausted for blocking for 2,000 yards last year. There's a reason why. It's crazy to think. I've always said this is a better run-blocking team than pass-blocking team. Well, guess what? They're pass-blocking better than run-blocking right now, which is crazy because they're not a great pass-blocking team normally. It's just, there's so much that goes into it. Columbus movie would be fire. I'm thinking Joe Pesci with a little man's complex throwing people overboard would be the perfect actor. What? Oh, man. I don't think Joe Pesci could do that kind of a role anymore. I don't think Joe Pesci could do any roles anymore at this point in time. Guys, we still only got 7 likes on this video. There's 13 of you watching right now. That means at least 6 of you have not hit that like button. And if you haven't subscribed and hit that share button either, please do it. There's 17 votes on the poll, but 7 likes on the video. Please help the algorithm grow, even though we've only got about 35 minutes left today. Get that algo growing. Please, please, please. Look, I'm looking at my notes here. And we're worried early this week about this Vikings game. Who's going to play? Are we going to be starting Adoree Jackson and Keely Ringo if Q misses? What happens then if Jalen Carter misses another game? What happens then? Things might actually get worse. I hope they don't. I don't think they will, but they could. And I don't know if changing Kevin Patullo's role solves any of it. You got to find a way to get A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts on the same page again. Does anybody else see? Look, I'm not saying that we're trading A.J. Brown. I'm not a Deanna Rossini troll job or anything here. But do you think they have a successful relationship right now for a wide receiver quarterback combo? guys that have known each other for decades, when you look at them and the way they talk about each other and their demeanor on the field, are they on the same page? No. I know there's frustration there. And I know Jalen Hurts leads in a different way than A.J. Brown leads. But is that a bigger problem than I'm willing to admit? And it's something I am thinking more and more about as the days go on. That I'm concerned that A.J. Brown wants Jalen Hurts maybe to lead differently, or maybe Jalen Hurts wants A.J. Brown to just fall in line, whatever it may be. I don't know. The A.J. Brown taking plays off thing still sticks in my craw so much right now. It really does. Maybe the locker room is a little fractured right now. And if it is, that's on Nick Sirianni. So there's another guy failing at his job right now is Nick Sirianni at this point. Maybe we need, man, there's so many references that I'm missing today. Who are my wrestling fans? Who are my wrestling fans in the comments section? Who was the counselor that met for it was great time in WWE. It was when Kane and Daniel Bryan were Team Hell No. But before they became a tag team champ, they had to go to couples counseling. What was his name? Tall, skinny, bald dude. They need to hug it out a little bit more. I don't know the answer. It's execution, not coaching, especially from O-line and pass rush performance. I am firmly believing that execution is as big, if not more, than coaching as the issue. 100% agree. But I think it's execution more than just the O-line and pass rush. Quarterback execution, wide receiver execution, running back execution. I literally think you could probably count on one hand the amount of players on this team that are executing at 100%. And two of them are your kicker and punter. Who else has executed near perfection this year? Those two. Quinn Mitchell. Is that about it? Who else is executing? Who else is the excellence of execution? Who else is there? The Eagles as an organization only hire offensive coordinators to be a head coach. Problem is they have a head coach that can't call plays. It's a big problem. If Nick Sirianni was capable of calling plays, he could just take the play calling away. At least even for temporarily. Sorry, I meant Columbus did not discover America. He hit the Caribbean and enslaved that population. Yeah, exactly. Big Al, I think it's a very fair question. Is this team smelling itself? I think it's a fair question. Did they rest on their laurels too much? I mean, I do think there's a lot of injury issues going on with key players. They're playing through things. But I think leadership-wise, yeah, it's smelling itself. We don't have that Jason Kelsey or Brandon Graham type to get these guys back in check. Have medical info I cannot, I'm assuming, share that our O-line is more banged up than led to believe. I don't think this is anything crazy to say. I don't have an inside source telling me that, but we know Jordan Mailata is not 100%. Landon Dickerson obviously hasn't been 100% all year. I said it, and I got crushed for saying this. I get crushed for saying a lot of things that come true. I said before the season started that they were rushing Landon Dickerson back, that they should protect him from himself and sit him for the first 3 weeks. And I was told, you can't do that. If he says he's good to go and a surgeon says he's healthy, you let him play. Like, no, you be cautious with him. And everyone called me soft. Everyone told me I didn't know what I was talking about. Cam Jurgens coming back from a major back surgery. Not playing well. Lane Johnson, what's he, 36 now? Even if he's not injured, he's injured just from playing in the NFL for over a decade. That's what the Illuminati wants you to think. We Italians discovered it. Are you Italian, man, Chatter? We don't know your real name. You can see and you can hear from the players themselves. On what? That they're banged up and tired. Yeah. They're definitely banged up. They're definitely hurting. They're definitely struggling. They're definitely struggling to get through the season. And somehow still they are 4-2. I know they've lost 2 in a row. And I know that it looks bleak right now. But despite all of that, they're still 4-2. They're still first in their division right now. So as bleak as it looks in this NFL, I think they're still in a good spot. I know, Phil, it sucks. It sucks to be psychic. It really does. Sorry about your damn luck. They laughed when I said we'd miss Kenny G. How did Kenny G go? I was watching some of the game at work yesterday. Heard his name a few times. He pull up the Steelers' uninspiring 23-9 win over the Browns. That game was much closer than the score says it was. Kenny Gainwell, 6 rushes for 22 yards, a 3.7 yard average. Got 10 on 1, so he went 5 of 12 his other runs. Kenny Gainwell caught 6 passes for a grand total of 14 yards. So he had a grand total of 36 yards on 12 touches yesterday, Kenny Gainwell. Man, lighting the world on fire in Pittsburgh, Kenny. Kenny Gainwell. I saw a play where Darius Slay made a nice pass breakup. Maybe years before, it would have been an interception. Guys, it's the top of the hour. It's just after 9 a.m. You're watching Trending in the AM on the STT Sports Network, setting the trends for what sports talk should be. If you have not, there's only 8 so far likes on this video. If you have not hit that like button, if you have not subscribed to the channel, please do. And please share this out. Hopefully we get some good shorts from today because the algo ain't helping me build the channel for the live show today. I guess Columbus Day, people are off. Did he get hurt again? Again? Hey, it is what it is. You know it's going to suck. The Carson Wentz revenge game. But what about the Isaiah Rodgers revenge game? Isaiah Rodgers didn't want to leave Philly. He's coming to town next week. Or later this week, or whatever you want to call it. That channel was all messed up. Do a shirt of your TV. What? Do a shirt of my TV? Thank you to everybody that did tune into my TV appearance on Friday night. It was great to be back on the TV screens. Even though I don't have a face for TV, this is the face that runs the place, though. I think it was my best out of my 3 TV appearances. It was my best job so far. At least that's what I felt, and a couple people close to me felt. So thanks for tuning in to those that got to see me on TV on Friday night, talking Phillies baseball. The Chinese and the Vikings were here way before Columbus, and that Italian was running that program for the Spanish. It's true. It's very true. Short. You want me to do a short? I don't have a recording, and I can't share a TV channel's show without getting dinged. It goes to show how good this O-line was for this team. Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you, Big Guy. I appreciate that. Appreciate it. Look, and it's not just the O-line. I mean, you see the banged-up team with the Jalen Carter situation as well. Jalen Carter's not 100%. Hasn't been the entire season. Far too many Eagles have not been 100% this entire season. I think that not signing Rodgers was a big miss by Howie. I said at the end of the season, we need to be a priority. They invested too much in him, keeping him on the roster for a year without play. I agree, Mark. I said it before you joined the chat today that everybody's to blame, including Howie Roseman. Howie Roseman in the offseason and during this season has missed more times than he has over the last 3 or 4 years combined. We're missing Mekhi Becton. I don't know if Mekhi Becton's having a good season or not. But you know why the offensive line was so great last year? Because we had 6 starting offensive linemen, right? So when one would go down, you bring in Tyler Steen, who was a starter level, and you slide people around. Now you got to go to Brett Toss of the world, the Matt Pryors of the world, when people get hurt. And that does not help anything, right? Cornerback. When Darius Slay would miss a play, you had Isaiah Rodgers to come in. Now you've got Adoree Jackson and Keely Ringo. You had Moro Ojomo as the backup when Milton Williams or Jalen Carter needed to play off. Who's the backup now? Byron Young? Gabe Hall? Ty Robinson? You lost 5 contributors on defense. You lost a huge key piece on offense in Mekhi Becton. Howie missed a lot this year. Maybe Fangio didn't think we needed Isaiah. Maybe he didn't think we needed Isaiah. Maybe he did want. I mean, I don't know if I would say that. How is it? I was going to say Keely Ringo. But Keely Ringo was already here when Vic took the job. So Keely's not a Fangio guy. I don't know. I don't know what the problem is. You can't keep everyone, and I get that. But when you lose somebody, you got to have a replacement. So we can't keep everybody, right? We kept Zach Bond. Okay, rightfully so. We gave an extension / pay raise to Saquon. Okay. Who else did we keep from last year that was a free agent? It was just Zach Bond, right? I was trying to think. I thought there was somebody else that we kept that could have left. I guess not. I don't know. You can't keep everybody. I get it. And I do think they thought they were going to get better offensive linemen in the draft. It didn't work out that way. You had a hope that the investment in Keely Ringo would pay off. It hasn't. It's a tough situation. And also, when you become a great team, like the Eagles, everybody wants to poach your free agents. And they're all going to overpay Super Bowl champion free agents versus non-Super Bowl champion free agents, right? I mean, it's not like we could have matched the Josh Sweat or Milton Williams contracts. You just couldn't do that. But the Isaiah Rodgers one was one that could have been matched based off of the price. Look, and I've always been on the hopeful side of Keely Ringo. Because let's be honest, he's halfway through his third year, and he's still just 23 years old. But every game, every play, every snap leads me to believe that he's not even mid, that he doesn't belong on a football field outside of special teams, that he doesn't really have what it takes. That's a shame. Because you invested a lot of time in developing him. And he's just not there. And the offense is struggling. And the offense can't convert third downs. They're putting a lot of pressure on the defense. Well, the defense isn't making stops either. We've got more missed tackles this year than we probably did all of last year combined through 20 games or whatever. So there's a lot of issues. But again, as we've said earlier in the show, you look at it. I mean, you got Chargers struggling with the Dolphins. The Broncos, who just beat us, barely beat the Jets. Panthers beat the Cowboys. I mean, the Steelers and the Packers games, they look like they were blowouts. They weren't blowouts. Not even in the least bit. I paid close attention to those games. They were close games. Do we really think that Danny Dimes and the Colts are as good as their record says they are? Like Super Bowl good? I don't know. The Rams struggled with the Ravens despite the Ravens having, who was their quarterback? 49ers lost to the Bucks. Lions lost to the Chiefs. It's a wide open NFL right now. Wide open. So as bad and as bleak as it looks for the Eagles, if we figure out what's wrong and fix it, we solve everything. We can still run away. Look, I'm looking at the poll question today, and Mike McDaniel, as the who should be calling plays for the Eagles, is starting to climb up, and it's up to second place now out of the 19 votes with 26%. And I just want to remind everybody for the 400th time that I want 100% nothing to do with that loser energy, that guy on this Eagles organization. Nothing. The guy has no respect around the NFL. Yeah, he might have been a great offensive coordinator at one point, but I would not bring him, a guy that allows players to show up late or not at all to meetings and practices. I don't want anything to do with somebody that lacks that kind of accountability. Man, the Ravens are cooked. I mean, especially with no Lamar. They stand zero chance without Lamar. But that elite Ravens defense is just trash at this point. Damar Hamlin shouldn't be on a UFL team, but he starts because they're out of money. It happens being out of money in the NFL. To be confident that the Eagles can right the ship this season. I do have confidence in it, but I wouldn't say on a scale of 1 to 10, my confidence isn't a 10. 7.5. I think can right the ship. And when I say right the ship, I mean get back to their winning ways, get back to playing good football. I'm not saying win the Super Bowl again. I'm saying put themselves in a position to win the Super Bowl. 7.5 out of 10 is my confidence level. I don't know what anybody else would answer to that, but I think it's possible. Definitely. I would put it there. It just comes down to execution, getting healthy. We got 2 more games, and then we get the bye. A full week off to lick our wounds. If we can go 2-0, no, if we can go 1-1 in the next 2 weeks, God, that would probably mean losing to the Vikings. Because you're not going to lose to the Giants twice this year. That would be crazy if that happened. Now, they got to go 2-0 in the next 2 weeks. Could you imagine if they lose this week or to the Giants a second time? What would that would do for our fan confidence? I guess we got to be 6-2 going into the bye. Otherwise, if we're 5-3, or God forbid 4-4 going to the bye, then that confidence drops. Then you get to the bye, you get healthier. Then you have the trade deadline if you want. I don't know if I want the Eagles making any trades. They're down to only 8 draft picks left next year. They need those draft picks. I don't know. I have confidence in how he has a plan, but I'm confident he will use the resources. I don't know. But am I confident he will? See, his resources are dwindling. He's got his own first and second. He's got 2/3, a fourth, a fifth, a sixth, and a seventh next year. He's wasted a bunch. John Mechie, Tank Bigsby. He's moved a bunch of picks. So we're down to, we went from 11 or 12 to 8 picks next year. We need offensive line depth. We need a tight end. Not this deadline, I mean in the draft next year. Who would have thought banged up old Dallas Goedert would be our biggest offensive weapon right now? So I don't want, I said it earlier, Big Al, and I don't know what the answer to this question is, but is there an Ndamukong Suh or a Linville Joseph type? 2022, how he didn't make a big trade deadline trade, how he brought in a couple veteran free agents that were out there to help elevate this team. Are those players available this year? I don't know. I'll look at the free agent wire after the show and see for tomorrow. Howie Roseman's trade deadline acquisitions over the years. Kevin Byard. Oh, geez, that really worked out well. This year, Tank Bigsby early in the season, but really. Like the amount of mistakes he's made in season, it's probably his weakest trait of his career so far. When was the last time he made an in-season trade that had a major impact on this team? It scares me. It worries me. Just a little bit. Just a little bit it scares me and worries me, but it does. And you go out there and trade for a top edge rusher. It's going to cost you, there's so many teams that need an edge rusher. That cost you a second or a third round pick to get an elite edge rusher added to this team, right? Do you really want to waste one of your 2, 3, third round picks on an edge rusher this year? Have we seen enough from this team that adding one player is going to get them over the hump? Get them back to where they think they should be and we want them to be? I don't know if that's the answer. I find it funny that these guys played well before coming here. Should we think it's the here that is the issue now? What are you talking about? Elaborate a little bit on what guys played well before coming here that didn't. Was Jay Ajayi a trade or was he a free agent signing? I think he was a trade. But that was 2017. So you got to go back 8 years to the last time it happened? And happened effectively? Don't think enough is made of the loss of Ben Van Summer, and he would have been a big piece of the offense. Well, he would have been a piece of the offense. I don't know about a big piece of the offense, okay? That's all. I mean, they weren't using him much, in general. Cowboys fans want to argue that losing to the Panthers is not worse than losing to the Broncos and Giants. I don't want to be a fan who argues for saying, yeah, dude. Cowboys fans are delusional. Giants fans are delusional. We know they're all delusional, all right? They're all delulu, okay? Tank Bigsby was supposed to be good to great return guy. Yeah, and I don't know why, all right? But Tank Bigsby, I think his best year was like 700 yards. So it wasn't like he was supposed to be this great. He was being brought into return kicks, and that was it. And all of a sudden, he can't catch a kick. So I don't know what the deal is with that. Mitchie even showed he was a decent return guy before coming here. Yeah, I mean, he had moments. Tank Bigsby is a great running back name. That's all he is. Tank Bigsby is like Cam Scatterbo. He's more famous because of his name than his actual skill set. I'm just knocking on Cam because I'm bitter over the loss. But, yeah. Will any of the Giants get fined this week for their play? Like, Jackson Dart literally launched his helmet at Jihaad Campbell. Didn't get fined or penalized for it. Good day, my friends. You as well, Big Al. You as well. Enjoy Columbus Day. Pro tip, if you lose to 3-3 Panthers, it means you stink. You laugh, but they had plays for band. They did. I'm laughing in the sense that I had big hope that they were going to run more I formation and stuff like that. I had hope for him to be a part, not a big part, but a part of this offense. I was hoping for some form of usage of it, right? And I knew that the offensive line was going to suffer at times this year, right? And here we are. Scattaboo should trademark CTE. Yeah, he should. So should Jackson Dart. Jackson Dart probably has it. I can't wait to see what the Brian Dable fine will be for going into the medical tent when Dart was there. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. And honestly, I don't care. So, I had no idea today was Columbus Day. You know what else today is? Today is also my little brother Charlie's 42nd birthday. So happy birthday to Charlie. 42? 1983, 2025. Yeah, 42 years old today, Charlie. Sure, he's working on Columbus Day as well. But anyway, that's why I don't have that other order today. Duh. Anyway, I promised 5 minutes of Flyers talk today. I gave you guys 5 minutes of Penn State talk today, laughing at the joke that Penn State football is, right? Let's talk about Flyers hockey for 5 minutes, okay? There's two things that I want to talk about. One, that we talk about all the time, the Eagles getting screwed, the Phillies getting screwed. Your brother is the Charlie Stiefel. I don't know if you know what that means or who that is. It's Canadian Thanksgiving today. I have a lot of friends in Canada. All right, so if that's true, shout out to Sean. Shout out to John and his wife and all my Celebrity Cruises brethren that live up in Canada. Chef David, all those boys and girls up there. Helen, shout out to Happy Thanksgiving to all. I don't know what this means. I'm going to give you my Flyers. I'm going to give you Flyers for 5 here. Hey, good for you. Good for you. I mean, he is my brother, so I made him the legend he is today. Shout out to Topper. Did he get fired yet? The Flyers got screwed by the refs on Saturday night in overtime. Travis Sanheim, if you guys did not see, skated in on overtime. Drew the goalie out. And Brink knocked it in the rebound for the game-winning goal, and the refs called interference on the goalie, or goalie interference. It's clearly not goalie interference. So he got screwed there. And then I saw a lot of people after Saturday's game criticizing Matvei Mitchkov for not having a point yet through 2 games this year and how much of a letdown. Flyers fans are already saying Mitchkov is a letdown. And I think it's nonsense. And I think people forget that Matvei Mitchkov is 20 years old. A mere 20 years old. Shout out to Topper. Oh, I already put that up there. Is Topper still? I guess he still is. Who? What? I don't understand what's going on here. Oh, you spelled it wrong there. I don't know what you guys are talking about there. See, I promised a couple Flyers comments, okay? I gave you the Flyers comments for the day. All right? I'm shocked he got on the plane with the rest of the team. If this was Major League, the team would have had him take the bus back to Philly. Yeah, probably. Can't say I want that man to continue leading the Phillies into the future. It was such a garbage call. The goalie intentionally initiated the contact. Yeah. The goalie had plenty of time to try to get back into that play. Flyers should be 1-1 right now, not 0-1-1. They do have their home opener tonight. Okay? Cool. But I don't get how you overturn that call. I mean, there's always a future. Always a future. But I don't know if the future involves Rob Thomson. He's too chicken shit to come on the show. It was such a garbage call. It was. I would be too shy to get it. What? I don't know. You guys are so weird. I say something nice about a brother, and you guys just take it too far. What felt like 1999? The call? Yes, the Phillies have a future. It might not be so bright. Look, I'm in the boat now. I had a little epiphany the other day. But I think it's time for the Phillies to take a step back. Let Kyle Schwarber go. Let Ranger Suarez go. Let Harrison Bader go if he wants. Maybe let JT Realmuto go, unless you can sign him to a 2-year deal. Then you need to call up Miller. You need to call up Painter. You need to call up Crawford. Call up Gage Wood. The Phillies need to get younger. Much, much younger. They're getting way too old. Crawford and Painter will play. Talk will continue all winter. Yes. Joel Embiid sees you. He sees me? How does he see me? What does Joel Embiid see me? Deanna Rossini sees me because I made a joke about her this weekend on Twitter, and she liked to check out my comment. Because Deanna Rossini has more NFL execs on speed dial to talk about the Eagles than anything. Phillies need to shed some of these contracts too. They do. I don't think they need to get younger or cheaper. They just need to get younger. That's right. Joel looks skinny, not going to lie. He does. He does look skinny. Once I think I'm out, they pull me back in. Somebody used to say that all the time on this show, that he's got a painkiller problem. Painkiller pill problem. Was that you, Duck, that used to say that all the time? We're coming up in the final 5 minutes, so we can say whatever we want now. Yeah. Well, I made a joke that she's got more sources to talk about the Eagles from the AFC than, what did I say? I forget how I phrased the joke. I forget how I phrased the joke, but she liked it. I don't think she realized I was making fun of her. I guess she didn't see the other 5 comments I made about her, trashing her, trying to stir trouble up when we don't need trouble stirred up. It was Nooms that said it. Gotcha. I knew somebody had said Joel had a pain pill problem. Sources close to the team. That means I'm speculating and making shit up for clicks, which is pretty much common these days, right? It's all anybody does these days, right? Whatever. I don't blame them. Don't blame them for making shit up. It's the way of the world right now, right? It's the way of the social media world these days. All right, we're coming up to the final 5 minutes. Where is the poll question of the day? Let's see here. Final refresh. We did gain a new subscriber. Even though the likes aren't there, we gained 1 new subscriber today. That's good. Who should be calling the plays? Final poll results. Kevin Patullo, 27%. Scott Leffler, 18%. That's last place. Mike McDaniel, 23%. Other, 32%. Interesting. Who the other would be? The fucking equipment manager is her source. What was his name? Hold on. Give me a second here. I got a name written down here somewhere. When did I write? Oh, there it is. Tony Santiago is her source, okay? Philly sports fans are a bunch of nagging, bitchy housewives. Eagles and Phillies are in the doghouse. Yeah, they should be in the doghouse. Sources close to the team says McDaniel is going to taking over Nick Sirianni due to his inability to deal with the OC issue. Others try to stifle. You guys make the weirdest things big deals. McDaniel lets his players walk all over him. I want nothing to do. If you bring in McDaniels into this team, it is the end of this era of Eagles football. It will do so much more harm than good. It's pathetic. Plus, he's still a freaking head coach of the Dolphins. You can't bring in somebody that's still got a job. Yeah, he'll probably get fired soon. You can't bring in somebody that's not been fired yet. Like, it's ridiculous the amount of love this guy gets, because once a long time ago, he was good at something. The janitor is the source. Man, my source says the lunch lady. Lunch lady land. Lions and Bucks are 5-1. No, Bucks lost last night, so they're not 5-1. Did Phil say anything on the show to break the internet? I did not. It's going to continue to piss people off. My hate for McDaniel, or people think it's hate. It's not. I just don't think he's the guy to fix anything. I don't break the internet. I am the internet. Bucks won, boss. They beat the Winers. I know, but the Lions lost last night. So the Lions are down to 4-2. So yeah. So Lions are 4-2. Bucks are 5-1. Colts are 5-1 as well, I believe. I know they only have one loss. I don't know if it's 4-1 or 5-1. But anyway. All right, what's on top this week? Maybe some more Flyers and Sixers talk, dabbling into the conversation. Obviously, I'm actually Nick Sirianni, being a great Italian American. Will he give his regular Monday press conference on Christopher Columbus Day? I don't know. Maybe not. Yeah. And then Brian Branch is going to get suspended for throwing a punch at Juju at the end of the game. Whatever. People are saying the Chiefs are back. I don't know if the Chiefs are back. I really don't. McDaniels looks like the guy that Kim Kardashian was dating. I don't know who that was. He just looks like look, you can make fun of his appearance. He looks like a dork, whatever. No guests. Guests don't really work on this show. Once I have more time, I have some plans for this channel and a special show just for guests. But the morning show is about the chat. This is the people's show. Okay? I try to sprinkle in a guest here or there, off-season football, bye week football. But during the season, there's too much to talk about. Then you guys complain that I ignore the chat. I bring in a guest, I get blamed for the chat. We'll bring back Sean Bernard. We always do. Before the Sixers season. Absolutely. Always bring him in around the start of the season. We need to ask the Godfather. Oh, that's the only reason why you want guests. Gotcha. Guests are tough at the morning show because a lot of people cannot come on early in the morning, by the way. But if the next couple months go my way, maybe I'll do some more shows. I am not the people's champ, but you guys are the people's morning show people. This is the people's show. Okay? It just is. Oh, man. All right. It's time to wrap this shebang up for the day. More Eagles talk tomorrow. What will Nick Sirianni say today, if he does? What will be the news and rumors today? I don't know. But we'll be back at it tomorrow. People's Republic of Phil. No, I'm not starting. What did Peter Griffin call it? Petopia, when he started his own country? Yeah, I'm not starting my own country. Not going to happen. Anyway, guys, that's about it today. Back tomorrow, 8 a.m. If you haven't yet, like, share, subscribe. Please, I'd appreciate each and every one of those things. But with that being said, it's time to wrap this baby up. Eagles, Phillies, Sixers, and Flyers. We're going to go 4 for 4 tomorrow. CCCP makes sense. What? Don't forget Columbus Day. I never forget it. Everybody have a great day. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same bat time, same bat channel, guys. Y'all have a good day. Go Birds. And bubbles up.